Hopefully there are some answers today as they analyze the cockpit and voice data recorders that have been obtained. They got them late last night from the wreckage of the plane that crashed after a 1-hour joyride that really generated a lot of attention Friday night and Saturday morning. People saying, how did this ever happen? The FBI and the NTSB are both investigating how a ramp service agent for Alaska Airlines, who does not have a pilot's license, was able to take this plane, a Bombardier Q400, not only take off, but then fly around for an hour before he crashed into a wooded area on an island not far from Seattle. Here's some exchange between the pilot and air traffic control, giving some indication that this is what he planned to do as the flight was coming to an end.
We're trying to do a barrel roll, and if that goes good, now just go nose down and call it a night.
And not long after that, the plane did crash, again, in a wooded area on an island near Seattle. So the question is now, what happened in terms of how was he able to steal this plane? And by the way, there are a number of these planes that are part of the Alaskan Airlines fleet. If you ever fly into Seattle, you see a lot of these turboprops, which are a big part of the fleet out there. Security protocols will be examined. We know that SEATAC, which is the airport out there, along with the Port of Seattle, they are likely to meet this morning and discuss security protocols, not only with Alaska, but with the other airlines as well. And the other question for the airline industry, guys, is whether or not security protocols in terms of who has access to a plane, will those be changed? Will the FAA come out and say, okay, we need to be even tighter and more restrictive in terms of who's allowed to get into the cockpit of these planes?
Wow.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Phil, what I was trying to understand is, obviously there'll be a conversation out at the airport in Seattle, but is there a conversation going on at airports around the country as a function of this?
Yes. I don't know of definitive meetings at this point, but you can bet that almost every, at least major airport or mid-size airport and larger, they're having this discussion in terms of, okay, how do we make sure who's supposed to have access to the ramp has access to the ramp? Because you've got hundreds of planes, especially in larger airports, coming and going, and you've got to move the luggage. You've got to fuel those planes up. So you need those ramp workers to have that access, Andrew. At the same time, you've got to make sure that this can never happen again.
I still can't get over the idea that there's no key, like physical key to turn it on, or some kind of code that's required to turn on the plane.
Right. Well, once you can get it powered up, and you have the auxiliary power unit on the ground, and once you can get that plane powered up, if you know the sequencing, and look, you can go on YouTube and look up the sequencing for starting up this type of a plane. I did it on Saturday. I'm sure I'm not the only person. I mean, these videos are out there. Once you figure that out, then you can take these planes out if you have access to the cockpit. And again, I'm sure, Andrew, this is part of what the discussion will be with the FAA in terms of how do we ensure that only the pilots who are supposed to be flying the plane have access to the cockpit.